Hey guys, Matt here. Hope you're doing well. I want to start quickly by addressing a question that I've gotten many times. In fact, every time I'm on Morning Joe or really any TV show, I get an influx of emails or tweets or Instagram messages from people, and it goes usually something like this. Hey Matt, I like your stuff, but there's a question that's driving me crazy. Who is the woman smoking behind you? I have tried so hard to figure out who it is, and it's driving me and my wife crazy. Sometimes it's a woman, sometimes a guy. Me and my spouse crazy. Could you please tell me who this is? And so, what I'm hoping for is that I will just send them this video from now on. Instead of responding to every single one, I'll just send them this video. So, first of all, let me say that these posters behind me, one is obviously Winston Churchill. My original idea was to rotate these to alternate them. But the lady behind my right shoulder became so popular, and it's actually been named a few times on the air, especially when the posters first went up, that I decided to make this kind of my basically my permanent backdrop. So, this is my set. And I think in the COVID era, it's really important that everyone who does what I do, if you're going to do TV from home, you kind of had to get a fairly decent camera and a fairly decent backdrop. So, anyway, that's how this thing got started. Before I get to who the woman is, I do want to say there's Barney Fife with Thelma Lou. I live in West Virginia. I went to college in West Virginia. Don Knotts, the actor who played Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show, is from West Virginia. And a friend of mine moved to the small North Carolina town that literally became, or it's Mayberry. It's called Mount Airy, North Carolina. And it's where Andy Griffith was born and grew up. And it's the basis of Mayberry. A friend of mine lives there. And before she died, Thelma Lou, who I think her real name is Betty Lynn, autographed that for me. And so I'm a huge fan of Andy. Also, I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. That's Cal Ripken right back there, 1984 Topps card. Every once in a while, I get asked about them. When I was 9 years old, the Orioles won the World Series. So I got locked in to being an Oriole fan, like for better or worse. Mostly it's been a good thing. So anyway, I've kept you in suspense long enough. The picture behind me is a young Joan Didion. And I am a huge fan of Didion, although I'm not a completist. I'm a big fan of Joan Didion's essays, many of which do deal with politics and culture. And Didion is actually an interesting figure because she had definitely had some conservative leanings. And I think probably at different times might have even identified as a conservative in a certain way. So that is Joan Didion. Like I say, I'm not a completist. I'm haven't read most of her fiction. Her last book, maybe I'll go back to it, but I was not a huge fan of. But what I am a big fan of is her collections of essays that she wrote, and I would highly recommend getting them if you don't have them already. So one is called "Slouching Toward Bethlehem," which is one of her essays, and then it's also the name of this book of a collection of essays. And the other one is called The White Album. And you really should have both. So get both, and you could thank me later. I will say, as a writer, it's so important to be reading, constantly reading. And sometimes you're reading to learn information because it's easier to learn things from reading, certainly, than it is from watching TV. But sometimes you're reading for style and to get, I don't know if this is true, but the story is that Hunter Thompson literally would read like great books and type them out. Like I think The Great Gatsby, for example, he literally typed it out so that he could get kind of the music in his head. And we obviously don't want to mimic anybody or sound exactly like anybody else, but if you can find good writers who are something in the space that you want to be in, I think it's a smart thing to do. Every once in a while, I'll read David Foster Wallace. I'll read Joan Didion, and they're some of my favorite writers because they can help me. I think after I read them, I actually become a better writer, at least for a little while. Okay, so there you have it, Joan Didion. I will just send this video out from now on to anyone who asks me. But I'm serious, I get asked this question a lot. And in fact, not only do I get a lot of emails and tweets and stuff, but if you just Google Matt Lewis, one of the things that will probably pop up is like Matt Lewis background picture, Matt Lewis smoking woman, things like that, Matt Lewis Zoom background. And it's because obviously, like, people aren't typing, like, who's this super hot, cool dude, Matt Lewis? They're just wanting to know who's the awesome woman smoking behind me. By the way, I do think it is now possible using technology that you could take a screenshot of me on TV and do like some sort of a reverse lookup using Google. If you were pretty sophisticated, apparently most people. I recently discovered that myself, so maybe I'll quit getting quite so many emails as people become more adept at doing that. But for now, at least, you have your answer. It's Joan Didion. Please email anyway. Say hi, but no need to ask who the beautiful. And by the way, let me just say, what a beautiful. I'm not great at the Trump impersonation, but definitely a looker and super cool. And this is her, probably like in the maybe early 70s or something. So this is her in her prime, probably.